Welcome to part 1 of a comprehensive English masterclass on macroeconomic foundations. In this video, we will build up the most fundamental concept in all of macroeconomics, gross domestic product, GDP. We will see exactly how it is computed. We will work through a three-product economy example step by step. We will distinguish GDP at market prices from GDP at factor cost. We will see the difference between GDP and GNP, between domestic product and national product. And we will understand why depreciation matters, the difference between gross and net domestic product. By the end of this video, you will understand the foundation that every other macroeconomic concept builds on. Let us begin. Section 1. What is GDP? GDP stands for gross domestic product. It is the most important single number in all of macroeconomics. The definition is this. GDP is the total value of all goods and services produced by an economy in a given time period, typically 1 year or 1 quarter. Two things matter in this definition. First, value. GDP is measured in money terms, not in physical quantities. A car and a haircut are both counted in dollars or shekels, not in objects. Second, produced. GDP counts only what is produced during the period. It does not count sales of used goods, or gifts, or transfer payments. Only new production. The phrase domestic in the name is important. GDP measures what is produced inside the country's borders, regardless of who owns the factors of production. We will return to this distinction in detail later in this video, when we contrast GDP with GNP. For now, the key point is that GDP is the value of new output produced inside the country during a given period of time. Section 2. The formula. To compute GDP, we use a simple formula. Y equals the sum of price times quantity, summed across every good and service in the economy. Y equals sigma, sum, of P sub I times Q sub I, for every good I, where P sub I is the market price of good I, and Q sub I is the quantity of good I produced. The market price is the price the good sells for in the market, what consumers actually pay. The quantity is the number of units produced. Multiply price by quantity for each good. Sum across all goods. The result is GDP. This sounds simple. In a small example economy, it really is simple. In a real economy, with millions of distinct goods and services, the bookkeeping is enormous. But the principle is the same. Every transaction in a market economy has a price and a quantity, and the sum of price times quantity across all final goods and services is the GDP. Section 3. A worked example. Let us see this in practice. Suppose an economy produces just 3 goods. Call them A, B, and C. Good A, quantity produced, is 100 units. Market price is 2 shekels per unit. Good B, quantity produced, is 200 units. Market price is 6 shekels per unit. Good C, quantity produced, is 100 units. Market price is 4 shekels per unit. We want to compute the GDP of this small economy. Apply the formula. For good A, value equals 100 times 2, that is 200 shekels. For good B, value equals 200 times 6, that is 1,200 shekels. For good C, value equals 100 times 4, that is 400 shekels. The total GDP is 200 plus 1,200 plus 400, equals 1,800 shekels. GDP at market prices equals 1,800. Notice the structure. Each good contributes its own price times quantity. Good B dominates the total because it has both high quantity and high price. The GDP of any economy is dominated by its highest value, highest volume goods. Real economies follow exactly the same pattern. Section 4. Why both variables matter. The GDP formula has 2 variables, price and quantity. Each one affects the total. If quantity rises, GDP rises. If price rises, GDP rises. This sounds harmless, but it conceals a deep problem. Imagine that next year, our small economy produces exactly the same physical output, 100 units of A, 200 units of B, 100 units of C. But suppose all prices rose by 10%. Good A is now priced at 2.2 shekels. Good B at 6.6. Good C at 4.4. The new GDP is 1,980 shekels, higher than last year. But no more was actually produced. The increase in GDP came entirely from price inflation. This is why we have to distinguish nominal GDP from real GDP. Nominal GDP uses current year prices and reflects both quantity changes and price changes. Real GDP uses constant base year prices and reflects only quantity changes. For policy analysis, for tracking whether the economy is actually growing in physical output, real GDP is the right measure. Nominal GDP is misleading whenever inflation is significant. We will explore the deflator concept and real growth rates in greater detail in Part 2 of our series. Section 5. Real versus nominal, the deflator and growth rate. Let us push this further. The ratio of nominal GDP to real GDP is called the GDP deflator. This ratio captures the average rise in prices across all the goods that are included in GDP. The GDP deflator is the broadest measure of inflation in the economy, broader than the Consumer Price Index, which tracks only consumer goods. The deflator captures everything: consumer goods, investment goods, government services, exports. When the deflator rises, the economy as a whole is experiencing inflation. To compute the real growth rate, we look at the percentage change in real GDP year over year. If real GDP last year was 100 and this year is 103, the real growth rate is 3%. If we divide real growth by population growth, we get real growth per capita, the measure of whether ordinary citizens are actually becoming better off. This is the most important number for welfare analysis. Headlines that report nominal growth tell you almost nothing. Real growth per capita is what matters. Section 6. GDP versus GNP. So far we have used GDP, gross domestic product. There is a closely related concept, GNP, gross national product. The difference between them is subtle but important. GDP measures all production that takes place inside the geographic borders of the country, regardless of who owns the factors of production. GNP measures all production by the country's residents, regardless of where it takes place. Consider an example. A factory in Israel owned by an American multinational. The production of that factory counts in Israeli GDP because it is geographically inside Israel, but it counts in US GNP because it is owned by Americans. Conversely, an Israeli engineer working remotely from Israel for a German company. Their work counts in Israeli GNP because they are an Israeli resident, but it counts in German GDP because the German firm is paying for output. The relationship between GDP and GNP is captured by a small adjustment called net factor income from abroad. GNP equals GDP plus net factor income from abroad. Net factor income from abroad is the difference between income earned by domestic residents on foreign assets minus income earned by foreigners on domestic assets. For most countries, this difference is small, a few percent of GDP. For countries with significant foreign investment one way or the other, it can be substantial. Ireland is an extreme example. Its GDP is heavily inflated by foreign multinationals based there for tax purposes, while GNP reflects the much smaller actual income of Irish residents. Section 7. Gross versus net, the role of depreciation. We have been computing gross domestic product. Why gross? Because we have not subtracted depreciation. Depreciation is the wearing out of physical capital, machinery, vehicles, buildings during the year. Every year, some of the economy's capital stock physically deteriorates. If a factory was worth 100 million shekels at the start of the year, after a year of use it might be worth 93 million. The 7 million difference is depreciation. To maintain the existing capital stock, the economy must invest at least 7 million per year just to offset this wear and tear. Investment beyond that adds to the net capital stock. It is called net investment. Now we can define net domestic product. NDP equals GDP minus depreciation. NDP is the amount of new economic output available after replacing worn-out capital. Whenever you read about economic growth or GDP comparisons across countries, gross numbers are what is typically reported. But for sustainability analysis, for the question of whether an economy is genuinely building wealth or just replacing what wears out. NDP is the relevant measure. There is an analogous distinction at the national level. NP equals GNP minus depreciation. Across all four concepts, GDP, NDP, GNP, NNP, the framework is consistent. Gross is before depreciation, net is after. Domestic is geographic, national is by ownership. Section 8. Why GDP matters. We have built up the full GDP framework. Why does this matter? 3 reasons. First, GDP is the single most used number in economic policy debates. Central banks set interest rates based on GDP growth. Governments design fiscal stimulus based on GDP targets. International institutions like the IMF evaluate economies based on GDP trajectories. Without understanding GDP, you cannot follow any serious policy discussion. Second, GDP is the foundation for almost every other macroeconomic concept. Inflation rates are measured against GDP. Unemployment rates are interpreted in relation to GDP potential. Debt ratios are expressed as percent of GDP. Trade balances are stated as percent of GDP. Every macroeconomic question ultimately comes back to GDP in some way. Third, real GDP per capita is the closest approximation we have to overall living standards. Comparing real per capita GDP across countries gives us a rough sense of how prosperous each economy is. Tracking real per capita GDP over time tells us whether ordinary citizens are getting richer or poorer. GDP is far from a perfect measure of welfare. It does not capture inequality, health, education, environmental damage, or non-market production. But it remains the most important economic statistic we have. And every refinement to our understanding of macroeconomic policy starts with a clear grasp of what GDP actually is. Conclusion. In this video, we have built up GDP from first principles. We have seen the definition, total value of goods and services produced. We have computed it through the price times quantity formula. We have walked through a 3-product worked example. We have distinguished nominal from real and seen why the deflator matters. We have contrasted GDP with GNP, domestic versus national. And we have separated gross from net, before and after depreciation. Every modern macroeconomic concept builds on this foundation. In part 2 of our series, we will go further into national accounting tables, the sources and uses identity, fiscal accounting, and the worked exercises that bring it all together. If you found this explanation useful, please share the video with someone who would benefit. And subscribe to Macroeconomics with Michael for the next part, where we go deeper into the practical macroeconomic accounting that every economist uses every day.